The mother of Teresa Cachuela, who died at the hands of her estranged husband, is determined to help others.
There is hope, that there is people out there to help. There is people like me who lost my daughter to this. Sorry, this doesn't need to happen to more people.
Lucita Aninihoa wishes her daughter were more persistent in seeking help.
I just want to let people know that they are not alone. I know sometimes my daughter felt alone when she tried to reach out for help. She just felt silence. She felt dismissed.
But she won't stay quiet any longer.
We need to refuse to be silent, to be more of a voice spoken for those that are feeling silenced. And that's why I'm here trying to fight for current and future lives.
She still can't believe her daughter's gone, violently taken away from her.
I was broken. I mean, I'm still processing my daughter's. I'm still in shock all the time. I'm still processing her death.
And she hopes no other mother will ever feel the unbearable pain of losing a child.
Domestic violence happens every day.
Monique Ibarra, the CEO of the Domestic Violence Action Center, says it's an epidemic happening every day in every community.
Let's not stigmatize it. Let's not shame anybody who's going through it. Give them hope and that there is help available for them.
On the morning of December 2nd, 2021, everything was supposed to be normal. Teresa Cachuela, a 33-year-old mother, entrepreneur, and influencer, had big plans for the day. She was preparing for Christmas shopping with her young daughter, unaware that this day would mark the end of her life. To most, this day would be just another typical day of the holiday season, filled with joy, laughter, and the excitement of finding the perfect gifts. Teresa had spent weeks planning for this moment, eagerly looking forward to the holiday cheer she would soon share with her family. She had it all: a flourishing career, a growing following online, a loving family, and a bright future ahead. Teresa had carved out a space for herself, not just as a mother and wife, but as an empowered woman who built her own business and inspired others to pursue their dreams. She was known for her positivity, her drive, and her passion for making the world around her a better place. As the morning sun shone over Oahu, Teresa was ready. Ready to spend the day with her daughter, ready to take on the holiday hustle, and ready to make memories with the people she loved. But what no one could have predicted was that in the peaceful parking lot of a local shopping center, her life would be brutally cut short. Her future, her dreams, all taken away in the blink of an eye. That fateful day, Teresa stepped out of her car in the parking lot, just a few steps away from completing a simple task: shopping for gifts. What was supposed to be a beautiful, peaceful day quickly turned into a nightmare. Teresa's life was brutally ended by someone she trusted, someone she loved, someone she thought she knew better than anyone: her own husband. Jason Cachuela, the man who once promised to love and protect her, became the one who ended her life. It didn't happen all at once. There were signs, moments of tension that many chose to ignore. But Teresa didn't. She fought to protect herself, to ensure her safety, and yet she met an unimaginable fate. Her husband, the man who should have been her partner, her protector, was the one who ultimately betrayed her in the most horrifying way. This wasn't a story of a woman failing to protect herself. It was a failure of the system, of those who were supposed to help her, and of the trust that was shattered beyond repair. What happened that fateful day? How did Teresa end up in a parking lot, unable to defend herself against the man who once promised to keep her safe? Was it possible to prevent what happened? How could someone go from love to lethal violence in a matter of moments? The chilling truth is that Teresa did everything right. She filed the paperwork, she asked for help, and yet she still fell victim to a senseless act of violence. While Teresa's death leaves us with so many unanswered questions, it also raises an even more significant issue: the lack of support systems for people in abusive relationships and the deep flaws in how we handle cases of domestic violence. Teresa followed the steps, took the necessary actions and sought protection. But despite her best efforts, there were cracks in the system that allowed her to be failed at every turn. Her story isn't just about the loss of one woman. It's a symbol of how too many people suffer in silence, how the system is often too slow to intervene, and how even the most prepared can find themselves helpless in the face of domestic violence. But in Teresa's story there is also a lesson that we all must learn from and act upon. This story isn't just hers, it's ours. It's a call for change, for awareness, and for justice. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Teresa's story deserves to be heard by everyone. Don't miss out on these important cases. Subscribe now to make sure you don't miss a single one. This isn't just about entertainment, it's about shedding light on issues that can change lives. Don't let her story fade into the background. Let's take a closer look at what led to Teresa's tragic death. We will examine every step, every detail, and every warning sign that should have been a red flag. This story isn't just about a horrific event. It's about the deep, systemic issues that allowed it to happen. It's about understanding how we failed as a community to protect someone who only wanted to live a normal life. Join us as we uncover the truth behind Teresa Cachela's murder and learn how we can prevent this from happening again. Now, let's begin our investigation into the tragic murder of Teresa Cachela. Teresa was born and raised on the beautiful island of Oahu, where her early years were filled with dreams of success and ambition. She wasn't just a mother, she was a mother who believed in love, family, and faith. From a young age, she understood the importance of hard work and the value of nurturing her relationships. As a child, Teresa was always the one to bring people together. Her smile could light up a room, and her presence was warm, infectious, and full of energy. She was the glue that held her family and friends together. Someone who made others feel loved and appreciated, no matter the circumstances. Her family, the foundation of her life, was always her priority. Growing up, Teresa's parents instilled in her the belief that family was everything. She carried that into her own adult life, and when she became a mother, she dedicated herself wholeheartedly to providing her children with the best life possible. Her passion for beauty and creativity led her to start her own business, House of Glam Hawaii, a beauty salon where she made other women feel beautiful, confident, and empowered. She built her business from the ground up, pouring every ounce of energy into making it a success. But despite her professional success, it was clear that her heart was always with her children. Teresa's life wasn't just about the glamorous world of beauty and social media. It was about her family, her values, and the love she had for her children. Every decision she made revolved around creating a stable, loving home where they could thrive. She was more than an entrepreneur. She was a nurturer, a protector, and a constant presence in her children's lives. From school events to late-night homework sessions, Teresa's life was a delicate balance of work and motherhood. And she did it all with grace, never once letting her kids feel the weight of the world on her shoulders. Despite her strong exterior, Teresa wasn't immune to the challenges life throws at all of us. Behind closed doors, her relationship with Jason, her husband, began to shift. What was once a loving and supportive partnership began to fracture, but Teresa remained hopeful. She held on to the belief that love could conquer anything, even the growing distance between them. Jason, like many in their community, had a charming exterior. He was supportive at first, always there for Teresa and her children. But by 2017 the cracks began to show. Teresa's friends and family noticed that something was off. She became quieter, more withdrawn, her energy dimming as if something heavy was weighing on her. It was a slow change at first, something Teresa herself struggled to fully understand. She tried to explain it away, hoping it was just a rough patch, hoping that things would return to normal. But soon, the emotional toll of her relationship with Jason was taking its toll on her mental and physical health. Teresa's once vibrant social media presence became less frequent. Her posts that used to be filled with excitement and love now felt like they were masking something deeper, something she couldn't fully express. The joyful mother, the hardworking entrepreneur, and the loving wife were all still there, but Teresa was changing. Something inside her began to break. As her marriage deteriorated, so did Teresa's spirit. She became increasingly isolated, spending more time with her children, away from her husband. It wasn't just the lack of affection that hurt her. It was the slow, creeping realization that the man she had trusted her life with no longer saw her as his partner. Jason had begun controlling her in ways that went unnoticed by most, but Teresa could feel it deep inside. Her freedom, her confidence, and her sense of self began to slip away with every subtle manipulation. He installed GPS trackers on her car, her phone, and started monitoring her every move. At first he told her it was for safety, that he loved her and wanted to protect her. But Teresa, as sharp as she was, could sense that this was not love, it was control. The isolation she felt wasn't just physical, it was emotional. The trust that once existed in their relationship began to erode, and with it, Teresa's sense of security. Despite these signs, Teresa remained hopeful. She believed that things could change, that her husband could find his way back to the person he once was, the man she had fallen in love with. But over time, Teresa realized that the man she had known, the man who had promised to love and protect her, was slipping away, and in his place was a man capable of much darker things. Her life, which once felt full of promise, began to feel like a trap. She documented everything, every threat, every instance of control, and every moment where she felt afraid for her life. But like so many victims of abuse, she faced a cruel reality. Even when you do everything right, even when you follow the rules and take every precaution, there are still forces beyond your control. Imagine having everything you ever wanted only for it to be taken away in an instant. Don't miss out on more stories like Teresa's. Hit that subscribe button and stay informed. Teresa had reached her breaking point by late 2021. She filed for a temporary restraining order against Jason, seeking to protect herself and her children. It was a brave and difficult decision, one that required all her strength. She thought that taking legal action would be the safety net she needed, the final step to freeing herself from the abuse she had been enduring for so long. But despite her efforts, something was missing, something that would make all the difference. In the beginning, Jason seemed like the perfect partner. He supported Teresa's business, helped with the kids, and was present at family events. He was the kind of husband many people admired, a reliable father, a devoted partner, and a man who seemed to have it all together. At first it felt like they were a team. Teresa, with her passion for her beauty business, and Jason, the loving husband who stood by her side. They were partners in every sense of the word, or so it seemed. They built a life together, each day filled with their shared dreams and aspirations. But by 2017 things started to change. Subtle at first, but undeniable in hindsight. Friends and family began to notice the cracks forming in their once solid marriage. Teresa, who was always outgoing and vibrant, started withdrawing. Her laughter, once full of life, became more nervous. Conversations about Jason, even among friends and family, would cause her to change the subject, or worse, quickly retreat into silence. It wasn't just her behavior that was changing, it was also the way she presented herself to the world. Teresa's social media presence, which had once been a joyful showcase of her life, began to fade. The posts that used to highlight her accomplishments, her family, and her business became fewer and more distant. It was as if the woman people knew was slowly disappearing, replaced by someone who couldn't seem to find herself anymore. Jason's presence in her life, once a source of support and love, had transformed into something much darker. He became more controlling, more possessive, and more obsessive. At first, Teresa could brush it off as a phase, a rough patch they could get through together. But by then, the behavior wasn't just a minor inconvenience, it was a clear sign of control. Jason began installing GPS trackers on her car and phone. He would check her location constantly, monitor her movements, and question her about every minute detail of her day. At first, Teresa tried to brush it off, thinking it was just a way for him to feel secure. He told her it was because he loved her and wanted to keep her safe. But slowly, Teresa began to realize that what Jason was doing wasn't about love. It was about control. It was about restricting her freedom and dominating her every move. Think about how dangerous this type of control can be. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Let's make sure you're aware of the warning signs before it's too late. The more Jason's behavior intensified, the more Teresa found herself trapped. She confronted him about the trackers, questioning why he felt the need to monitor her every step. His response was always the same: he loved her and he was just protecting her. But to Teresa, it no longer felt like love. It felt suffocating. Could she see the danger? Or was she so blinded by love that she refused to believe the man she once trusted could be capable of such manipulation? How long could she continue to convince herself that everything would get better? How many more signs did she need before she realized that the relationship she was clinging to was toxic, and that it could destroy her? Jason's control over Teresa was escalating, and she was running out of options. But despite her growing awareness of the situation, there was always a glimmer of hope, a hope that things could change. Did Teresa believe deep down that Jason would return to the man she married? Or had she already resigned herself to a life of emotional confinement, unable to break free from the relationship that once made her feel loved and cherished? By the time Teresa realized the full extent of Jason's control, it was too late. She was caught in a cycle that she couldn't escape, a cycle of manipulation, fear, and isolation. But could she have escaped before it was too late? Could she have seen the warning signs earlier, or was the change in Jason so subtle, so gradual, that it was almost impossible to recognize? By December 2021, Teresa had reached her breaking point. She knew she was in danger and she warned everyone. She warned her family, her friends, and even law enforcement. She documented Jason's threats, his stalking, and his violent outbursts. She had tried to make sense of the situation for so long, hoping things would get better. But now she was certain. Jason wasn't the man she married. The person she trusted to protect her had become the very thing that threatened her safety. Teresa's efforts to protect herself weren't just emotional, they were also practical. She took all the right steps. She called the police when Jason was too aggressive. She reported the threats and she sought legal protection. Teresa's strength in taking these actions showed how serious the situation had become. She didn't just want to protect herself, she wanted to protect her children and her future. She filed for a temporary restraining order against Jason, believing that this legal document would give her the protection she needed. It was the last step in her journey to safety, a journey filled with struggles, setbacks, and moments of doubt. She thought the restraining order would work. It seemed like the legal system would offer her the refuge she so desperately needed. But there was one glaring issue. Jason didn't comply with the court order. Despite being required to surrender his firearms, he refused. And the police didn't follow up. This is where the system failed Teresa. Despite her best efforts, Jason still had access to the weapons that would ultimately take her life. Jason's refusal to surrender his guns wasn't just a violation of the law. It was a failure of the system to act when it mattered most. Teresa had done everything she could. She had followed the rules, filed the paperwork, and sought help from those who were supposed to protect her. Yet in the end, the system let her down. Do you see the flaws in the system? This could have been prevented. If you care about justice, make sure you're subscribed. These stories need your attention, and together we can make sure they're heard. It's a heartbreaking reality. Despite Teresa's courage and her efforts to seek help, the system was unable to protect her from the man who had turned into her greatest threat. Teresa had done everything right, so why was she still left vulnerable? Do you think law enforcement could have done more to protect her? Could someone have stepped in and prevented this tragedy before it was too late? These are the tough questions we need to ask as we continue to examine the events that led to her death. Teresa was at a crossroads. She had done everything within her power to protect herself and her family, yet the danger still loomed. It wasn't just Jason's refusal to surrender his firearms. It was the complete lack of follow-up by the authorities, the failure to prioritize her safety in the face of clear and present danger. For Teresa, this was the ultimate betrayal, a betrayal not just by her husband but by the very system meant to protect her. December 2, 2021, seemed like any other day. The holiday season was in full swing, and the parking lot of Pidge Center was bustling with Christmas shoppers, all excited to check off their gift lists. Teresa and her 12-year-old daughter, who had spent the morning preparing for a fun day of shopping, were about to join them. It was meant to be a carefree day of picking out presents, creating memories, and enjoying the warmth of the season. But unbeknownst to Teresa, this seemingly ordinary day would be anything but. What she didn't know was that Jason, her husband, had been waiting for her at the shopping center. He knew her routine. He knew where she would park and what time she would arrive. Jason had been planning this moment for days, preparing for the unspeakable act he was about to commit. As Teresa drove into the crowded parking lot, she didn't suspect that the person who had once been her partner in life, the father of her children, was lying in wait for her. The silver sedan, parked in a secluded corner of the lot, stood out to Teresa as soon as she approached. She recognized it instantly. Jason's car. There was no warning. There was no build-up. In that moment, Teresa's life was about to be stolen from her in an instant. What happened next was over in a matter of seconds, but the impact would last a lifetime for those who loved her. Teresa's daughter, standing by her mother's side as they got out of the car, had no idea what was about to unfold. In the chaos of the holiday rush, with people rushing to finish their shopping, nothing seemed out of place, until the sound of gunfire shattered the festive air. 6 shots rang out in the crisp morning air, each one echoing across the parking lot, leaving no time for Teresa to react. She crumpled to the ground, her body collapsing as the impact of the bullets tore through her. The world seemed to stop in that one moment, the sound of Christmas music playing in the distance, the faint murmur of people walking by, until everything changed. Her daughter, terrified and helpless, stood frozen, watching as her mother's life slipped away before her eyes. No child should ever have to witness something so horrific, so devastating. In an instant, Teresa's hopes for the future, her plans for the holiday, and her dreams for her children were all taken away. Jason, the man who had sworn to love and protect her, had turned her world upside down. There was no explanation, no warning, just cold, calculated violence. As the chaos erupted around them, the world that Teresa had worked so hard to build for her children shattered. What was supposed to be a joyous holiday became the backdrop to an unimaginable nightmare. People who had been shopping just moments before found themselves in the midst of an unfolding tragedy, their lives unknowingly entwined with Teresa's in the worst way possible. Her daughter, still standing in shock, would forever carry the scars of that moment. The loss of her mother in such a violent and senseless way would be something no child should ever endure. And as the police arrived at the scene, it became clear that Jason's actions had changed everything forever. The life Teresa had fought for, the future she had dreamed of, was taken in a flash. The tragedy wasn't just her death, it was the impact on the lives of those she loved, especially her children. The ripple effects would be felt far beyond the moment of her murder. Jason had shattered her family in the most irrevocable way possible. Why did it have to end like this? Why did the woman who did everything right, who fought so hard to protect herself and her children, have her life stolen away on a simple day meant for shopping and family time? How many warning signs did we ignore? How many lives could we have saved if we acted? If you haven't subscribed yet, don't let this be another missed opportunity to make your voice count. Hit subscribe now. Teresa's murder didn't just shatter her family, it shocked the entire state of Hawaii. The news spread fast, rippling through the community, the public, and her followers. Teresa had built a platform where she inspired countless people with her positivity, her beauty business, and her motherhood journey. Now her followers weren't just mourning her loss, they were rallying behind her memory. Her death sparked a wave of outrage and disbelief. How could something so senseless, so violent, happen to someone who had done everything right? Teresa's friends, family, and supporters didn't just grieve, they took action. Her mother, Luka Aninahoa, became the voice of change. Her grief, mixed with anger and determination, fueled her relentless fight for justice. She stood before the public, advocating for stricter laws and more effective protections for victims of domestic violence. Luka wasn't just a mother mourning the loss of her daughter. She was a warrior. With the public support and a movement behind her, Teresa's death didn't remain just a tragedy. It became the catalyst for something much bigger. From the ashes of their grief, Teresa's family fought to ensure that her death wouldn't be in vain. Teresa's Law was born, a new piece of legislation aimed at holding abusers accountable and ensuring stricter penalties for those who violated restraining orders. It sought to prevent what happened to Teresa from happening to anyone else. The law was a hard-won victory, but it came at a steep price, a price that could never bring Teresa back. Her family, left to pick up the pieces, would never be the same. No victory could erase the pain of their loss. No law could undo the terror her children would live with for the rest of their lives. How could they heal from such a deep, senseless loss? Teresa's children would grow up without their mother, carrying the weight of her murder on their shoulders. Her family would forever be haunted by the fact that they couldn't protect her from the man who was supposed to love and care for her. And for Teresa, there would be no second chance, no happy ending. Her story, while tragic, became a symbol of the urgency to act, to protect the vulnerable, and to make sure her story was never forgotten. But what can we learn from this tragedy? What lessons can we take away to prevent future deaths? How do we protect those who feel trapped, who fear for their lives but still can't break free? Teresa's death is a wake-up call, one we should never ignore. Teresa's legacy lives on in her family's fight for justice. Do you think enough is being done to protect women from domestic violence? If you care, subscribe and share this video to make sure Teresa's voice is heard. Together we can make a difference. Teresa's legacy is now a symbol of resilience and advocacy. Her story continues to save lives, making her death a catalyst for change. Teresa's children may have lost their mother, but her memory lives on through the changes in the law and the many people she inspired. Her family's fight for justice ensures that Teresa's voice is never silenced, and the work they've done in her name will help protect others from experiencing the same fate. Her children, growing up without the love and guidance of their mother, carry forward a legacy that is both painful and powerful. They will never forget their mother's strength and the love she gave them, even in her final moments. What do you think needs to change in the system to better protect victims of domestic violence? Do you believe that enough is being done to prevent these tragedies? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Teresa's story isn't just about remembering a life lost. It's about ensuring that future generations are protected, that no one else suffers the way Teresa did. Her death was a wake-up call for us all. We have the power to make sure it doesn't happen again. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories right here on City Crime Tales. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is your chance to make a difference. Teresa's legacy deserves your attention. Sharing her story is one of the most important ways you can help make sure her voice, and the voices of others like her, are heard.